Have you ever noticed how your parents or grandparents seem to rush through their mornings like they're late for something they're not even doing? They wake up, maybe grab a cup of coffee, and they're out the door. And if you're watching this right now, over 60 years old, there's a very real chance you're doing the exact same thing. What if I told you that this seemingly harmless routine, this thing you've been doing every single morning for the last 30 or 40 years, might be silently putting pressure on your heart in ways doctors are only now beginning to fully understand? That's exactly what we're going to explore today, and honestly, it might change how you spend your mornings forever. I'm Adrian Wells, and on this channel we dig into the health truths that doctors wish more of their patients actually knew. If this is your first time here, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like this video and hit subscribe, because we're releasing new evidence-based health content every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. We have a whole series on cardiovascular health that's going to blow your mind. But let me start with Sarah. Sarah is 72. She's vibrant, she's active, she volunteers at her church, and she used to think her morning routine was perfectly fine. She'd wake up at 6 in the morning, go straight to the kitchen, pour herself a hot cup of coffee, sometimes two, and while she waited for it to cool down, she'd start checking emails on her phone. By the time she actually sat down, she was already stressed about the day ahead. She didn't eat breakfast, she didn't drink water. She just grabbed her coffee and felt like that was enough to get her going. And for years, Sarah figured this was no big deal. Millions of people do this, right? Then one Tuesday morning, she felt a tightness in her chest. Not severe enough to call an ambulance, but enough to scare her, enough to finally get her to her cardiologist's office, and what her doctor told her changed everything. Here's what most people in Sarah's situation, and maybe in your situation, believe. They think that morning is just the morning. It's the time you get ready and get out. They think that if they're not eating breakfast, well, they're just skipping breakfast. They think that 1 or 2 cups of coffee is definitely harmless. They think their morning stress is just something everyone experiences, something that has no real consequence. They think that because they feel fine, they probably are fine. And doctors know that this is what you believe, and it's exactly why this problem is so widespread. Here's the hidden truth that caught Sarah completely off guard. Your morning, particularly if you're over 60, is actually the most critical time for your cardiovascular health. Between 6 in the morning and noon, your body goes through the most dramatic changes of the entire day. Your blood pressure rises naturally when you wake up. This is called the morning surge, and it's completely normal. But here's where it becomes serious. If you're not eating properly, if you're dehydrated, and especially if you're jumping straight into stress without fueling your body, you're putting your heart under extreme pressure at the exact moment when it's already under the most natural strain. Think about what actually happens when you wake up dehydrated. During sleep, especially for people over 60 whose bodies don't retain water as efficiently, you lose a significant amount of fluid. Your blood becomes thicker. Your heart has to work harder to pump that thicker blood. Then you add caffeine into the mix, caffeine, which is a stimulant that raises your heart rate and your blood pressure, and you're essentially asking your heart to work overtime without giving it the fuel it needs to do that work safely. Research from the NIH found that people over 60 who skip breakfast and consume caffeine on an empty stomach show significantly elevated cardiovascular stress markers compared to those who eat something within an hour of waking. That's not a small difference. We're talking about measurable risk. And it doesn't stop there. Your morning stress response amplifies all of this. When you wake up and immediately think about your to-do list, your emails, your worries, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. In younger people, this is manageable. But after 60, your body's ability to regulate cortisol becomes less efficient. Your arteries are also less flexible. And when you combine a spike in cortisol with dehydration, low blood sugar, and caffeine, you've created the perfect storm for your cardiovascular system. You're essentially hitting your heart with a combination of stress factors that it's not equipped to handle first thing in the morning. The consequence of this? It's real and it's measurable. Repeated morning stress surges, the ones you can't feel, by the way, gradually damage your endocrine system and your cardiovascular system. They increase inflammation in your arteries, they contribute to plaque buildup, they raise your baseline blood pressure over time, and they significantly increase your risk of heart attack and stroke in the morning hours, which is already the peak time for cardiac events. There's actually a phenomenon called the morning peak, where more heart attacks happen between 6 and noon than at any other time of day. Most people don't know this. Most people think a heart attack is equally likely at any time. It's not. So what's the solution? This is where it becomes empowering. You need to flip your morning routine on its head, and it's actually simpler than you might think. The first thing before you do anything else is to drink water. Not coffee, not juice, plain water. Your body loses about 8 ounces of fluid just during a normal night's sleep for people over 60, that number is even higher. Before you pour that coffee, before you check your phone, before you think about your day, drink a full glass of 16 ounces of water. This rehydrates your blood, brings down its viscosity, and immediately reduces cardiovascular stress. It takes 90 seconds. Mayo Clinic recommends this as a foundational practice for anyone over 60 who wants to maintain heart health. The second thing is to eat something real within an hour of waking. And this is important. I'm not talking about a candy bar or a pastry. I'm talking about actual nutrition, something with protein, healthy fat, and complex carbohydrates. An egg with whole wheat toast, a small bowl of oatmeal with nuts and berries, a piece of fruit, with a tablespoon of almond butter. Whatever it is, you need to raise your blood sugar gently and give your body fuel. When your blood sugar is stabilized, your cortisol response is dampened. Your cardiovascular system is more resilient. You're no longer asking your heart to pump without an energy supply. This is what your body needs to handle the morning surge safely. What's even more surprising is how quickly these changes make a difference. Sarah, remember her? The one who felt that tightness in her chest. Within 3 weeks of changing her morning routine, just 3 weeks, her cardiologist noticed measurable improvements in her blood pressure readings. She also reported that she felt less anxious, less rushed, and more capable of handling her day. Her resting heart rate dropped by 6 beats per minute. And when we talk about cardiovascular health over time, these small daily changes are enormous. The third part of this is addressing morning stress directly. And no, I'm not telling you to meditate for an hour. I'm telling you to protect your first 30 minutes. Don't check your phone. Don't check your email. Don't think about your to-do list. Spend those 30 minutes doing something quiet, having your breakfast slowly, sipping your water, maybe taking a gentle walk, maybe sitting outside for a few minutes. This is not indulgent. This is medical. You're giving your cortisol system the space to regulate itself naturally, without being hijacked by stress before your body is ready to handle it. Now here's where this becomes really important, and most people completely miss this part. Medication matters, but your lifestyle matters more. If you're already on heart medication, these changes don't replace your medication, but they amplify it. You're working with your body's natural rhythm instead of against it. Harvard Health published a study showing that people over 60 who made these 3 morning changes, hydration, proper breakfast, and stress management, saw improvements in their medication effectiveness. Their doctors could actually reduce dosages in many cases. That's the power of working with your body instead of against it. There's another layer to this that most doctors don't emphasize enough, but they should. Your circadian rhythm matters enormously for your heart. Your body is designed to receive nutrition and stress management support early in the day. When you skip breakfast and rush into your day stressed and dehydrated, you're violating your body's natural design. Your heart is expecting certain inputs at certain times. When those inputs don't come, it compensates by working harder. And that compensation, repeated day after day, year after year, adds up. By the time you're 60, 70, 80 years old, those accumulated stress days have real consequences. I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying that every person who skips breakfast is going to have a heart attack. That's not how this works. But I am saying that if you're over 60, if you care about your heart, if you want to live as long and as healthy as possible, your mornings are the perfect place to make changes. There. The highest leverage time of your entire day, and the beautiful part. These changes actually make you feel better immediately. You're not sacrificing anything, you're gaining energy, clarity, and peace of mind. Think about what you're choosing when you skip breakfast and jump straight into stress. You're choosing short-term convenience over long-term health. You're choosing to ignore what your body is actually asking for. And if you're over 60, you're doing this at the exact moment in your life when your body is asking the most clearly. Your body is literally telling you, through elevated blood pressure, through fatigue, through anxiety, that it needs something different. And the incredible news is that listening to it is so simple. The changes we've talked about today, water, real food, stress management, these are not radical. They're not difficult. They don't require special equipment or expensive supplements. They require intention. They require deciding that your health matters enough to spend 30 minutes in a different way. And if you're someone who cares about the people in your life, if you want to be around for your grandchildren, if you want to be active and vibrant, then this is worth it. Sarah, the woman we talked about at the beginning, she's now become the person who tells her friends about her morning routine. She feels better. Her cardiologist is impressed with her progress, and she got her life back. She was scared for a while, but that scare became her wake-up call, and it became her opportunity to take back control of her health. You don't have to wait for a scare. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis. You can start tomorrow morning. You can start right now, actually, if you make the decision. Pour yourself that glass of water. Plan what you're going to eat for breakfast. Decide that your first 30 minutes are going to be intentional and calm, and notice how you feel different. Notice how your day feels different. Notice how your body responds. I would genuinely love to know what you're going to do differently with your mornings. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these changes you're going to try first. And if you found this helpful, please share it with someone you care about, because maybe that person needs to hear this too. Maybe that person is heading toward a health crisis that could be prevented with something as simple as a morning routine change. Thank you so much for watching. We have so much more coming on this channel about heart health, about aging, well, about taking back control of your health after 60. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And remember, your future self is going to be so grateful for the choices you make today, starting with tomorrow morning.